Hello, today on the Wanxiety podcast, we have the very talented Manny, also known as Idioteque, who is an artist and sound engineer and producer here in London. Oh my God, I was like in New York, uh, in London. And yeah, we're here to learn more about like how you started your career and learn more about how to get into the music industry. So I will let you take it away.
Yeah, so basically for me, I've been doing music for, I'd say, the past 10 years or so. I only started really taking it seriously from when I was about 17, which is some time ago now. But yeah, so I was doing that, producing a lot of electronic music like drum and bass and dubstep, just for enjoyment, I'd say. I was into quite a lot of bands at the time, but yeah, mainly electronic music. And then I decided I wanted to move to a city where everything was happening. So I picked London. And then in September 2019, I started music production at uni and sound engineering, but it was mainly studio stuff as opposed to live sound engineering. So yeah, so I've been kind of just involved in that time within the London music scene, I suppose. And yeah, things are happening steadily, but I'm in a place now where music is essentially full time. Where whether it's my artistry or whether it be live sound work, it's count your blessings, I suppose, because that's what I want to do, and that's what's happening now. So yeah. Um, the artist side of things has been kind of just a progression through different scenes and different genres to kind of finally arrive at the place where I feel like I've refined my sound, and as a result, I get to work with loads of amazing artists, which is sort of like it's my solo project, but there's a lot of collaboration involved. So I get to meet so many great, amazing people who are all supreme artists in their own right. And yeah, we've been able to build this thing, and there's a lot of traction has happened over the even just the past year. We only started playing live shows in early 2024. So, and then with the live sound, I've been doing that for about 3 years, I want to say, and that was very much a sort of accident, but a happy accident. It was just a case of I'd already done like mixing, etc., and recording in my own spaces, and it was just a case of someone, a good friend, actually falling ill during the time, and it was super last minute, and we didn't have an engineer at the venue that I was working at. I was a bar supervisor at the time, and I was just like, wow, we need to find someone. And yeah, I could have just like possibly called, I might have like called people or whatever and just said like, oh yeah, we need an engineer. No one was free, so I was like, oh, it was time for me to step up. So I very much like jumped into it, like kind of into the deep end, because it was a pretty big show. But I trusted myself that I had enough knowledge to kind of transfer my skills from the studio into the live realm, and I was scared, but to say the least. But it went really well, and then I was like, well, I actually have a niche for this, and it means I don't know. I definitely prefer live mixing to studio stuff. It just feels like a lot more in the moment, and I I don't. I think about what I'm doing, but it's not as mechanized for me, and a lot of because everything is happening right in front of you. It's very much on the fly. So you kind of have to think with your instinct as to what's best, and there's like a lot of problem solving and yeah, just thinking on your feet.
I think that's like a really good way to learn, though, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
because you're in the moment and you don't have really like
yeah. I
time
I
to
feel
think.
like there is an aspect of kind of, if you can gain training or whatever in a certain space or a certain field, it's always good to be prepared. I suppose I was prepared in some way because I'd been doing music in some form or recording for quite a long time. But yeah, I don't think there's anything better than just kind of go like almost like switching off and just going, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump in.
Mhm.
And yeah, it can go one or two ways. It can go really bad or really well, but you kind of just have to trust that you're good enough to get through that show. And then, then ever since then, it's just been upwards progression really. And yeah, now it's my job.
So what like initially sparked this drive to go into music? Is there like something specific?
Um, I couldn't really put my finger on it because I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, I started playing piano at 4," or like, I don't think for me, I don't really. I always loved music, and obviously it was always being played in the house and stuff. But I don't think whether that was through school, not. I don't know. I didn't really see it as like a possibility. Um, Maybe because a lot of the schools I went to were quite sport focused and academic focused. I mean, there was an art sector, but it was, I wouldn't say neglected, but um, could have done with some work. Yeah, I didn't take lessons when I was as a kid or anything. So I had to, when I got my guitar at 11 and started really getting involved. I don't know, something just clicked with me where I was like, oh, I think it was through listening to rock bands and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But even still in my early teens or whatever, you kind of divert, I was really into skating, so that took up a lot of my time. And then I suppose I realized I wasn't good enough to carry that on, and I kept on getting hurt. So yeah, I had to pick something else up. But I'd kind of gone through everything. I did sports clubs, I did all of that things, and nothing really sat with me. And then it wasn't a case of like music being the only option, but it's just like once I got into that, I knew there was no like sort of going back. And I think there was an element. I don't know if it was after school. I think it must have been, after finishing A levels or whatever, and kind of, I don't know. I really enjoyed school in terms of like the friends I had and whatever, but I didn't really like the system, and especially like the class sets we were in. I always felt like we were sort of guinea pigs. Like we had to really prove, whether it be behaviorally or like academically, that we were good enough to take better tests. And I was just like sick of the whole thing. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life doing something I don't enjoy. I know it's not that simple because like we all have to make money, we all have to make ends meet. I've done many jobs in my time, primarily in bars, whatever. But I just thought to myself, like, there's no way, even if I have to be super relentless, I am working in this field in some form. I wasn't going to settle for any less, and it's still a work in progress. Like I'm not completely there yet, but at least I can say like, yeah, I work within the sector that I love, and but in terms of like as to when, I can't exactly pinpoint it, but I remember getting my A levels and just like laughing and just throwing it in the bin. And then I just thought, well, then I had like I didn't do too bad, but then I had like a year or so off, and I was like, well, maybe I should continue. Like the only thing I love is this, and how can I get better at this? Okay, maybe not going to uni to study music, but like refine my skills more of it, and also just like the opportunity to move to a bigger place where there is more opportunity and doors to be unlocked, and more people to meet. Yeah, I'd say it was definitely up maybe after A levels, where I was like 17 or so, 18. Where I was like, okay, what do I want out of life? And yeah, that I set my sights on it, and that's where I am.
You mentioned you went to school to do sound engineering.
Hmm.
Like when you were choosing schools, what were you looking for in a school, and what kind of program did you take?
So I went to Point Blank Music School, and I was around 19 or 20 when I applied. I took a year out because I think I was just done with studying in total. It might have been 2 years. I wasn't sure. And then I was looking at courses, and at the time I was still in like my electronic like mindset. That's where I was at. And I think I just searched it, and what intrigued me was the fact that it looked like a very practical school. There's a lot of unis where most of it is, even music unis, like depending on the course, yes, but a lot of it is heavy coursework, like lots of writing, and I really didn't want to do that. And I just got an inkling that, like, with Point Blank, I was like, this looks a bit more hands-on. It looks a bit more active. Yes, there's coursework involved, like every place, but I was interested from that, and I think what sold me is when I applied, and it seemed like they cared more about my like producing and DJ portfolio as opposed to my academic grades. And I was like, wow, you're actually getting yes, you have to have certain points to meet the criteria or whatever. But what was really nice, it was like a less traditional approach. It was kind of like, oh no, this person looks quite active, because at the time I was playing like a lot of shows, DJing on the like drum and bass circuit in Bournemouth, whatever. And they liked that, they liked that I was proactive and driven, aside from the kind of school stuff. So I think I was sold on that. And then I remember, even like years into university, I think my dissertation was only, it was like, any time I've spoken to someone about dissertations, they've gone, oh, it's like 10, 15, 20,000 words, whatever it is. Ours was minimal. I got to write an EP, like 4 songs, essentially, and that led me down the path where I am now. So yeah, the whole, like, the majority of the course was like that. It was very, very practical. Yes, you had to show proof of your workings or whatever, but I just felt that even in that time, I was getting to write music and submit it essentially in some form. Where I was able to just study but write music. That was the most important thing. I didn't want to go and write essays and essays and essays. I'd done that through the whole of school, So yeah, that was really appealing to me. And then I had like not a bumpy second year, but I was like sort of dissatisfied. I can't remember as to why. I get bored pretty quick, but I stayed, and it was the best decision I made. So no, in terms of like, and I've met a lot of people who have gone to uni, whether it be for the same circumstance or they've gone to study music in some form. A lot of them haven't had the best experiences, and I can't say the same. That's not to say that everyone at Point Blank like had like the same time as me, but it was very independent, and I was only in 2 days a week, so I had all that breathing room as well. I just felt, I didn't want to go to university and it be like being at primary or secondary school again.
Yeah.
And I love that element. Take the bus, was there for a 4-hour lecture, go home, And to be fair, it might have been different if, the pandemic didn't happen and stuff, but, and this is only my case, but I didn't mind like studying online, because sometimes the connection would drop out or whatever, and that'd be annoying. But I got to do everything in my own time, essentially.
Yeah, and it gave you like space to stay at home and work on your music, right?
Yeah, and there's just not all of that like in that pressure that you get from school or whatever. I was able to breathe a little bit more, because I didn't want to go to uni and start feeling suffocated. So yeah, much love to Point Blank, because they were amazing.
Nice. So being in the music industry obviously can be like very, how can I put this? I mean, like every industry, you always think about like, oh my God, am I gonna make it? I know it can be like a waiting game of when you're gonna have like that big break.
I'm still waiting for that, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And obviously, like, everybody has like work anxiety, career anxiety.
Yeah.
And we've spoken a little bit about this. How, like, is there anything you do? Love it, this car drive by.
Main road.
Is there anything you do specifically whenever like you have these kind of thoughts, like, shit, like, when is it gonna come? Am I gonna make it? Because I'm sure, like, I know we've spoken about it, that you
yeah,
have them,
it's well, speaking to other artists definitely helps. Speaking to people who, not just other artists who are like around your same age, but also people who are older than you, especially if their experience, or their, I have some really close friends now that are a little bit older than me that have been able to they help me put things in perspective, because my mind can get quite overactive, and I can start, if I'm not careful, thinking quite cynically. I wish I didn't, but it's just how I am. But having those kind of conversations makes you then go, oh, I'm not actually, I'm not falling behind. Like, I've got time to get to where I want to be. And yeah, just a lot of people I've worked with who are a little bit older, they have, I guess, reassured, not in some way. They've gone, you're on the right path. Like, what you're doing is really good. Or maybe tweak this, maybe tweak that, but it's just far from the end for you. And that kind of brings me back to centering and helps me go, and also, just doing the job, at least in live sound, where I've been able to meet so many amazing artists, bands, soloists, whatever it is, and have good feedback, and it instills confidence in you. Like, you have so many people saying, like, artists, like, oh yeah, or producers, like, yeah, I just do what I want. But yeah, great, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and having someone say to you, oh, that is really good, we do like it, and it does affirm something in us. So yeah, positive feedback as well. And even negative, not negative feedback, but constructive criticism is important as well. But I'm just saying, like, if I have like a really good show alongside like my featured artists or whatever, or like I do a really great night of music on sound or whatever, I turn, like, sometimes I have that moment of, oh, it was pretty good, I handled that kind of thing. And that also reinstills that kind of, yeah, you're doing fine, man. Like, don't worry too much.
Yeah.
Because I am a bit of a warrior. But
oh, we know,
yeah,
Gemini.
I'm the worst. I am the worst.
So besides your sound work, obviously, like, you work on a lot of albums. I know you just got a new EP, and you're doing live shows with different artists, and a lot of trip hop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I didn't know what trip hop was before your song.
I don't think many people do. That's why I'm trying to I'm trying to use the term less, because I'm like, oh, it is quite niche. I mean, unless you're really deep into that scene, or electronic music or whatever. I'm kind of just trying to say, like, oh yeah, it's sort of trip hop, electronic, alternative rock, kind of trying to make my own thing, But yeah.
What's your biggest inspiration, like, when you write a song, and how do you find artists that you want to work with? Like, what do you look for? Like, when you're writing something, do you have like a specific idea in mind, or like, this kind of voice would sound amazing with this? Like, how do you work?
It's really, I in the past I tried to kind of follow a structure, but very, very quickly the structure kind of goes out the window. A lot of the time, well, it's gone in phases for me. So like before it was like a lot of sampling and stuff like that, and like flipping things on their head and kind of reinventing like a sound, or putting a load of effects on something and going, oh, that can be the bass for this song or whatever. Nowadays I'm writing a lot more with my guitar, which feels a lot more natural to me. I'm not like a shredder by any sense of the word, but
you can definitely do it.
Yeah, I can play, but like I can play, but for me it's more fun to like experiment with a guitar or whatever. I don't know, a good example would be like Ed O'Brien from Radiohead. He kind of uses like guitars but in an unconventional way, and there's other people as well, like Sonic Youth or whatever. And so I write a lot more on my guitar, but I do like trying to put concepts together. It has to mean something. Music is not just transactional. There's a lot of producers or whatever, it's like, oh, I've just made this new beat. For me, I can't do that. So there has to be some meaning, whether that comes after the song is made or before. Sometimes I'll have I write a lot of lyrics as well, in the case that I'm doing vocals on a song, or like I'm collaborating on lyrics with another artist. Sometimes there is a theme, like I'll come to people and be like, look, I want this song to be about this. Others I give, if they want to write the lyrics, that's fine. It's very, varied, which makes it fun. It's never just one way. In terms of finding artists, I mean, for every single one that I'm working with at the moment, I've been working with the same people for quite a bit of time, just because it felt, I've been lucky in the sense that like the people I've met, I've wanted to continue working with, and it's been really smooth and they've been super professional. And there's about, I want to say 4 or 5 featured like vocalists that I work with, but everyone has been different. Some I've met like through their manager, others I've met online, others I've met at open mics and I've gone, oh my god, I need to work with you. So yeah, there's never a set way. But yeah, and then kind of, everyone I work with is an artist in their own right, and also like an individual and very unique. That's what I really love about this project, and I think it makes it even more exciting. It's never just like the same person on stage or whatever. It's always rotating, and yeah, I think people get bored quickly just in general. So I think it gives that element of like sort of surprise, like, oh, there's another person on stage. Oh, there's,
Yeah, you've done quite a
stimulating.
lot of shows now, right?
Yeah. Last year we ended up, I want to say we did like 8 or 9, some bigger, some smaller. Then we had like a break. It wasn't intentional. I don't know. I must have just. It was probably when I was writing the new EP, A Stone's Throw from Home.
I will tag it. Don't worry.
Please do. Shameless promo, but we love it. Yeah, so I had a little break, and then this year it's just nice to see this kind of upwards progression in terms of shows. We played Hootenanny in Brixton last week, which was amazing. That was probably my favourite show we've done yet. And then we've got 2 coming up in May, and I don't know if they're announced, so I'm not going to say where they are yet. But they're in London. And yeah, so but the scale of show, even from last year, like the scale of what we're doing has gone up a level, I'd say. And it's really nice that, sometimes it can be really difficult, like even just booting down the doors when you're doing stuff independently, because promoter or a venue might have not heard of you yet. But it's been nice that the results we've been getting, or the shows we're now playing, I think is just a testament to like what people are hearing before anything else, So it's been really nice. Like a lot of promoters and stuff are starting to reach out, and yeah, that feels really good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm ready to come to one of the shows. So I guess as one final question, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Oh, my younger self.
I mean, you're still pretty young, but
I'm vintaging. One piece of advice I give myself. This is a really hard question. I'd say, as opposed to wasting time, I mean, some of it is hard to manage, but like as opposed to wasting time thinking about the outcome of something, I'm not just going to say, oh, just do it or whatever like that. But going back to worrying, try and keep your head clear as much as possible, and kind of just do what feels instinctually right to you, because usually your gut is what's telling you what you should do. And I'd also say just like be relentless, because depending on your situation, but majority of things aren't going to come to you. You have to get them yourself. And as soon as you instill that in you and kind of have some sort of destination as to where you want to go, and keep the blinkers on essentially, but don't let it get in the way of other parts of your life as well, because you don't want to start like not enjoying the other elements of your life because you're so focused. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. That's what I'm getting to. I'm learning that now.
Well, we have to learn it sometimes.
Yeah. What about advice for yourself a week ago? But like, but no, I would definitely say, give yourself more breathing room, because what will come out of that, you'll feel rested, which will lead to better art. But at the same time, you know, if you want something, you know, don't be afraid to go ask for it and go and get it yourself, you know. So,
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Yeah, everybody listen to Idioteque's new EP, A Stone's Throw from Home.
That's it.
I will tag it. Thank you.
Bye.